welcome to the FirstBank Fintech Podcast. This show is about intelligent minds. We're speaking with brilliant people in the financial technology space and beyond. And today, I'm your host, Fisaya for Studio. Today we have, our amazing co-host.
Were you about to skip me? You can't take me.
You
can't take me off, Fisaya. I'm here to stay.
I can't. In fact, I was, there was something in my head. I was like, I have to introduce my co-hosts. Our amazing co-host, Tomike. Everybody, Tomike.
Thank you.
So, welcome, Tomike. How are you feeling?
I'm fine. How are you feeling?
I'm good.
And is there a dress code that you people did not send to me?
I
promise you, I wore black as well.
In every episode, we've had the tech bro dress. It is just the thing. I don't know
I've
what is
gotten
going
the memo
on.
now. Thank you. Just bring turtleneck for me when you're coming next week.
It's
I will write that down.
for Black Friday.
I will write.
Awesome. And of course, we're joined by two amazing CEOs. We have this amazing quote that we use. Amazing. You're amazing as long as you're here with us. We have Sam Immanuel, CEO Semicolon, a name that I like so much, but we'll get to find more about shortly.
And we have Abdul Hassan, who is
getting married soon.
he's the CEO, co-founder of Mono. Mono is a very interesting company.
Is it your company?
I actually stumbled upon them. I was in one app and I saw something blue. I was in another app and I saw something blue. And then somebody said it was Mono, and I was
everywhere.
I was like, let me check. Exactly. I was like, let me check. And wow, there's this company, Mono. Okay, what they're doing is actually interesting. And a friend of mine also, his company is also integrated. Anyway, we're going to
I
have
feel like
him,
you have spoken more than the
we're going to
CEO.
have him talk about
and at this point, we need to give him some shares.
He can invest.
Well, welcome. And now that he has started with Mono, tell us more about Mono.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Abdul, and I'm the CEO at Mono. So Mono, the mission is to power the internet economy in Africa. Right, and what this means is that we want to enable businesses and developers to access customers' financial accounts. Right, so when you can access customer financial accounts, you can get access to bank statements, transactions, real-time balances. You can also move money from this account without cards. That's basically what Mono is.
As you just said it sounded scary as well, because all that was blaring in my head is security. How secure is Mono?
So one thing that we always pride ourselves is it's a consent-based system, right? And what this means is that as a user, before a business or a developer can have access to your account, you have to give a consent. So what this means is that you have to say, okay, I'm using my login details, right? And then the bank also sent OTP. As you know, Nigerian banks don't play with security.
I do.
So everything that the banks also do, we also follow the guidelines, and so it's really secure.
Great. Semicolon. I love these names, by the way.
I love them.
I feel like
if one of us was a dot and one of us was a comma, we have two semicolons here. I'm sorry.
No, we won't take that from you.
I'm just saying. Sorry, please.
Welcome. Tell us about Semicolon.
Semicolon is essentially focused on addressing the problem of youth unemployment by training software engineers and tech entrepreneurs. Because on one hand, you have many companies that are saying they can't find the talent that they need. But then on the other hand, you have many people saying that they can't find jobs. But also in addition to that is, as you've seen, there are many challenges we have in the economy that we still need a lot more entrepreneurs working on. And then as we look at some of the things going on in financial services, fintech, open banking, whatever it is, how do we ensure that we have the talent pool that we need for that journey of economic development? And that's what Semicolon is focused on.
Interesting. Great problem you're solving.
Thanks.
I was looking at my phone and I was researching something about the unemployment rate. I don't even want to say it, but
tell us about it.
I just put my phone down back.
Wow, this is something else. So we need more semicolons.
I mean, he's here. He's going to be the one to answer that question. You're trying to solve unemployment and you're trying to do all these amazing things. I know you mentioned, there are other companies who you also incubate. How has that journey been? Which one came first? Was it the solving the unemployment first, the incubation, or was it the grand idea that you had initially?
So the grand idea is, how do we contribute to the journey of economic development and prosperity for all? And at the bottom of that journey is that we need to make sure that people are able to access economic opportunity. For you to be able to do that, you have to be able to come to market with the skills that the market is asking for. Because a lot of the companies that can't find the skills that they need is not because there's a shortage of graduates. It's that those graduates are coming to the market with the skills that the market is not asking for.
So sort of like underemployed, they kind of become underemployed, or they are unemployable, maybe.
Unemployable, underemployed,
Exactly.
all of those things. So we want to make sure that the skills that the economy needs as we embark on this journey of digital economy, that the economy actually has.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you short, but there's something I saw, and I'm just kind of worried that it seems as if, we have more sort of focus. I don't know. I asked this question in a previous podcast episode, and I don't know. Do you think we're in a bubble with like tech companies, or like maybe hiring for tech? Because I know tech seems to, maybe there's a perception that tech pays more. I don't know if, and the people always joke about like tech bros and all of that stuff. Do you think it's too concentrated, or do you think there's opportunity for everything else? And who is your audience, or who are the people you hire and provide services for?
So certainly we're not in a tech bubble. If we think about the size of the population, not just in terms of Nigeria, but you can use Nigeria as a microcosm of Africa. And then you say you just looked at the unemployment number, and when you saw it, you ran away. So we're certainly not in a tech bubble, because we have to recognize the fact that as a nation, where do we want to be in 5-10 years' time? And in relation to that, at the moment, you ask who are the main people that we're servicing. If you like, at the end of the training, the main people that we're servicing are the corporate clients who are hiring from us. More than 90% of our graduates have ended up in financial services. And so at one point, you have a bank and they say, I'm looking for 100 software engineers. Another bank comes and says, I need 150. And the question is, are we able to train them quickly enough? So we're certainly not in a tech bubble, because even as we're training them and hoping that they go into Nigerian firms, we also have to acknowledge the fact that there are the leakages as a result of, they've taught me the term Japa. That's, again, we have to take into consideration, which is a major drain on the skills availability.
I was actually going to mention that, but I was like, I'll just hold my, okay.
Moving on to Mono.
Okay.
Let's talk about some of the challenges you're facing currently, being in this space that is Nigeria.
So I think one would be talent, right? So Semicolon again.
This is interesting.
I know, right? Just bouncing back and forth.
I think for us, what we're building, right, requires like really smart people, not just like ordinary programming. You have to really know how to like really build architecture, right? How to like run security, right? When you're building stuff. So finding the right like senior engineers. I think Nigeria right now, the market, we have like a lot of junior engineers, not senior engineers. Right? Most of the senior engineers, they have like offers, maybe like $10,000 monthly salary in the US or in Europe. They would Japa, for example. So figuring out the solution on how to keep these people, right, in the country is like one of the challenges for us, right? For example, you bring in someone into the company, they spend maybe like a year, and you've spent a lot of money training them and making sure that they get to a point where they're like very senior, and like they get an offer from the US or UK, like they wouldn't think it twice, because it's the lifestyle there is different from here. Yeah. So I think one of the challenges that we face right now is like, how do we keep talent and how do we recruit talent? Even though as a company, we're doing a lot of things to make sure that we keep talent, like giving them stock options, right? Like, for example, giving them like housing grants, car grants. Like, we're just trying to make sure that these guys stay, right? But yeah, they might eventually go.
Semicolon, any tip for Mono?
We were talking before the start. I used to live in the Bay Area. And in the Bay Area, you don't go to work for a tech company focusing on your salary. There's a reason why the Bay Area is doing well. It's doing well because people are able to get stock options and contributes to the growth and development of companies, and as a result, those stock options grow.
Exactly.
And so in terms of retaining talent, he's absolutely correct that we now need to start thinking about how do we incentivize that talent to be committed to the development of those companies. And we have to be willing to share some of the gains from those companies. So stock options and, of course, continued ability to make the people that are working in these companies a part of the long-term vision of where these companies are going. And then going back to the question of, are we in a bubble? Letting those people also recognize the fact that with the skills that they get from some of these companies, they are also positioned to one day launch something that solves yet another problem that hasn't been solved yet.
That's interesting because when we hire new people, one thing I tell them is that we have something called Founders Pledge in the company. And what this means is that if you decide to leave Mono after a year or two and you want to start something new, I personally will help you, might even invest or introduce you to investors, right? And I think that actually makes people think that, okay, I can work for this person a year or two, gain some knowledge. And if they move on to be an entrepreneur, I'll also be excited because they're actually living with Mono with a lot of experience to build something and contribute to the ecosystem. So yeah, I think that's one thing that people also can also do as well. Because a lot of talented people, they don't want to work for that person, right? But if you can tell them, look, come and work with us, right? Stay 2 years, 3 years. At the end of the day, we can help you if you want to start something else. Yeah.
I think that's a good one.
So it's, well, okay.
That's how you speak your mind. Don't worry, nobody would hear.
So,
tell us.
I used to think about this thing because I used to be a freelancer. I used to be a freelance graphic designer. And I remember when I was designing, I designed a single web page for maybe a German client or a US person. They pay me maybe like $500 for a single page.
Wow.
$500 is like a lot of money in Nigeria.
The exchange rate
is probably like how much? 250K now.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody in Nigeria is going to give you 250,000 naira to design a single web page, and that's just designing. You are not even coding it.
Wow.
So that is kind of something that I might want to incentivize people. But then again, I also look at it like this, like we have somebody who is hiring talent, and we have Mono. And I'm just looking at it like, how are we going to get people to stay? How are we going to get people to? And I'm throwing this question in the open. Like, how are we going to get people to? You mentioned the founders grant and all of that stuff, but what is the what are that means, or what can you actually convince someone that already sort of has this kind of experience and knows people that has this kind of experiences to stay?
Let me add to that sorry quickly. We are, in our case, developing people who now have global skills. And they're not joining the Nigerian workforce. They're joining the global workforce. The global
workforce. I mean,
and so,
truly because the internet has brought us together.
Yeah, they're now joining the global workforce. And then you have a lot of the companies playing in the ecosystem, not raising money in Naira. They're raising money in dollars. And there's a reason for that. So eventually, it's a matter of time we're going to get to a position where if we want those people to stay and continue to work, we're going to have to pay commensurate in recognition of the fact that they're part of a global workforce. And it's taking employers here a bit of time to make that adjustment and that realization, but eventually that's what's going to happen.
Actually, it's happening now.
Exactly.
At Mono, we pay people in USD. So it's like...
Are there vacancies?
There are some talents that you'll be like, I need this guy to be part of this company. Any vacancies? And then we pay them in USD.
Any vacancies?
Definitely.
What sort of vacancies? I can speak.
Engineering.
I can speak to your engineers.
Well, I was going to, I don't think this question was included, but I just thought maybe I should ask you, especially, like, how is regulation like for you, for Mono?
So in the space that we're playing right now, so it's two parts, right? So it's like open banking and data, right? So I always think of Mono as a data company, as a data play when we started out, which was like, okay, how can we help businesses access all this data that have been stored by the financial institutions, right? So it's like, okay, how can you get access to bank statements? How can you get access to transactions, right? So now we also get to the point where how can we make customers pay with their bank account directly without their cards. So now we're getting into the open banking space. But now it's not regulated, right? The space is not regulated in Nigeria, but it's regulated in the EU, right? So I think CBN recently released a circular about open banking, which I'm really excited about because it then makes the playing field much more, how will I put it, like it levels the playing field, right? And then having regulation is like there's more oversight on what's happening. Oversight is like, is a good thing also. With this, it's a good thing because you want a situation where customers know that because this thing is regulated, which is what she mentioned earlier about security, like it's secured because it's regulated. Think of like payments. Imagine if payments wasn't regulated. No one wants to use their card again, right? So it's a good thing that regulation is coming into open banking, and that's how I see. But right now, it's not regulated. I think probably by the end of the year, we would have like licenses for open banking startups and stuff like that.
Do you mind sharing maybe just a snippet of what the CBN circular said?
So it's mostly around like, okay, this is how you should do onboarding, right? This is how you should take security. These are the companies that can have access to this kind of data. These are the companies, this is the license that you need to access payments, for example. These are the licenses you need to access data, right? So it's just like, so circular from CBN is like guidelines.
It's like guidelines,
right? So it's like, okay, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this is how you must do this, and things like that.
Okay.
Back to Semicolon. Anything you would like to educate talents out there on? I mean, many people are trying to probably come under your wings, and I'm sure there are several factors that you look out for when you're trying to incubate these fresh ones. So what are some of the things that you would say to them? I mean, a plus for someone who is watching or listening to this right now?
Abdul alluded to it at the start of the conversation in the sense that the problem-solving skills is what we need, is what employers are looking for. But in addition to the problem-solving skills, then have some other hard skills. Not everybody, we are training software engineers, but we acknowledge the fact that not everybody is going to become a software engineer. Right. But we then say everybody needs to learn how to tech enable whatever it is that they do, because tech is all around us, and the ubiquity of tech is only going to rise over time. And so for people in terms of preparing themselves for the future, if you think about the future world of work and what it's going to look like, we must recognize the fact that anything that can be automated will be automated. Yeah. And so get skills that position you to be relevant in that future. You don't need to be a software engineer, but you need to be able to contribute to problem solving in a tech-enabled world.
That's totally profound. Like, very, very good.
Mono, anything for us?
I want to hear from Mono. Yeah.
Okay. So I think what you said is totally right. And another thing that I would also say is joining companies that you see that you really think you can learn from. So, for example, when I moved back to Nigeria, I started a mobile payment application. It was called Oyapay. It was like Alipay, where you can use your mobile phone to pay offline without internet. So the company didn't work, and then I joined Paystack as a product manager. So working at Paystack actually kind of like helped me, it kickstarted me into like the fintech space, right? And also opened me up to a lot of things, just like learning and understanding like how to run a company.
So it wasn't your initial aim to, go into that space?
No. So it's like,
what were you doing at Paystack?
So I was a product manager.
Wow.
So before then, I was in like AI. I was doing machine learning and things like that. So fintech was like that industry that I feel like this is something for like
the fintech
banks.
guys.
Yeah. So it's like a banker kind of a thing. But I think going into Paystack and learning and how they've done things actually helped me say, okay, I think this is an interesting industry that I want to like spend my time on and learn. So I think that's one thing that people should do, like young talent should do, right? So look at this company, okay, what are they doing? Like get excited about it and just like reach out to them and just like join them.
So judging from your story, is that to say that anybody can get into the fintech space?
I think so. So for example, it's not about like engineering. There are so many roles that are in like fintech. So for example, you can start, I've seen people that started as a customer support person and then they moved to a product manager.
So there's hope for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So imagine someone earning like 150K as a customer support, and in like 2 years they move to $500,000, right? So it's just like how excited are you about this, all right? And then you just move.
Yeah, and I think for our generation and young talents, I mean, there's a lot of hope for us.
Yeah.
And from what you said, someone earning 150K and ends up earning $1 million.
Yeah.
It shows to say that there's room for growth.
Yeah.
It's just for you to open your eyes to the opportunities.
Exactly.
I mean, you might be a marketing officer,
Yeah.
and being in that space, for example, you at Paystack, you could have just stuck to what you were doing there and stayed there alone, and you probably wouldn't be here today. But then looking around and trying to learn about where you are, I mean, looking at your space, gaining from your space. For example, you guys are here today. I've gained a whole lot from you. I probably would never have met you if not for this podcast. So thank God for this. I've learned a whole lot, and I think people listening, people watching this right now, that's something to definitely take home. Wherever you are, just look around. There's so much more than you can see.
Yeah.
I feel like a motivational speaker.
So moving on to more like recent, stuff now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
Are you saying I'm not recent?
The e-naira. No.
I'm just kidding.
Why now? So the e-naira, like I've read. I kid you not, like I've read about 20 articles on this thing, just trying to wrap my head around
what it is.
And I've written, I'm writing a script that I want to even talk about. But there's the phases of the launch where the CBN will have total control in the beginning, issuing this currency to people. And, in the next phase, they're going to give the regulated financial institutions, and then they're going to have merchants, and they're going to have all this, different wallet levels. People with only a phone number can access the e-naira and transact up to like, I think, 50,000. And then the highest level can do unlimited merchants and businesses and all. And they say there's no transfer charges and all that. You are in this space that integrates banking and open banking and all this stuff. How do you think? How do you see the e-naira faring? And do you see it catching on maybe?
So the way I see it is like e-money, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically how, for example, maybe on your all this finance application, PiggyVest and so on and so forth, you have like a e-wallet balance, right? So I think it's the same thing as well. And I think it's a really good idea because it's kind of like it's not the same thing as cryptocurrency.
No, it's
right?
not. It's not.
So, but it's like I think when CBN came out about let's
do
stop.
a digital currency.
Yeah, let's stop. Let's look into what cryptocurrency is doing, right? So the first thing that they stopped there was let's look into what this thing can do and the advantages, right? So I think that's when they came up with why can't we just like turn our own currency into something like cryptocurrency, but not crypto, right? Which is like
so non-interest bearing currency.
Exactly. So I think it's something that would open up different ventures and also like increase the amount of new products that can be built, right? So imagine someone getting access to that API, right? And they can do like a P2P transfers, right? It would just open up a lot of opportunities. That's how I see it.
I was also thinking about the fact that to save the CBN cost of printing money.
Exactly. That's another one
yes,
too.
that's another one.
That's another one too.
Yeah. Thank you very much. We've
you
learned
so
a whole
much.
lot from your well of knowledge. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for sharing. But just before you go, any other thing you'd like to share with us? It's an open check. Sign it.
I was going to add to the point on the e-naira in terms of view. Of course, we're biased. We're software engineers.
Yeah.
And we have a futuristic view in terms of the digital economy. And if that digital economy is going to become a reality, then we should expect that our money for our transactions, because more and more of our transactions are getting electronic, so we should expect that our means of exchange for those transactions will become electronic. How many of us necessarily are still carrying around cash? And even if we are, how much cash are we carrying today versus what we were doing 10 years ago? And so it's a move in the right direction, of course, then catch on all of those things, because it's the CBN, there's the opportunity to impose it on us. And there are those of us that would, of course, be very receptive. But I think on the whole, for the populace, for the economy, for just general development, it's definitely a move in the right direction.
Interesting.
Right. Thank you very much, Mono. Thank you, Semicolon.
You're welcome.
The names are
Thanks for
very
having
cool,
us.
by the way. Very cool names. But how did you come about them?
If you're a programmer, you would know immediately, because in a lot of programming languages
you use semicolon.
you use semicolon to end the log.
That's easy.
So that's how we know the non-tech versus tech.
Yeah, interesting, actually.
I've owned it. I'm owning it. How about Mono, though?
So for us, like, the idea was, how can we put together all this bank's data in one place? And Mono means one. So it's like, one API.
So well thought out. Like, it's just obvious there in your face like this.
Thank you very much for joining us. This
Thanks
has been the
having me.
FirstBank Fintech Podcast. And of course, do check the link below to access more episodes. We'll see you in our next episode. I'm Tomike Adeoye, and this has been
Fisayo Fusudo. Thank you so much. See you in the next one.
Yes.